And I'm back in Russia. I haven't been able to come here during the entire 2 years or more of the special military operation known by everybody else as the war. The NATO-Russia war, fought over the dead bodies of poor Ukrainians, hundreds of thousands of them. They have been led like lambs to the slaughter to fight for Joe Biden. Imagine, the great war leader, Joe Biden. You wouldn't send him across the road to buy a loaf and expect him to come back. Never mind come back with the right thing. But that's what they've all been doing. The European leaders have committed economic suicide, creating social fissures inside their own societies that they may never recover from, permanently disabling their own industries and their own economic future, all for Joseph Biden. I keep reminding you of that because I want you to have that picture of this senile, dribbling Alzheimer's patient in your mind when you calibrate what your government has done to you at his demand. I'm back in Russia. I have been coming to Russia for the best part of 50 years, in former times and in the worst of times and now in the best of times. Russia is booming. Its economy is booming. I'm in Kazan. I'm not in Moscow. I'm not in St. Petersburg. I'm in Kazan, Tatarstan, and it's absolutely booming. There's social harmony between the 49% Muslim population and the 49% Christian population. Mixed couples, police officers walking in duos, some of them Tatars, some of them white Russians. There's absolutely nothing here that would tell you that there was a war going on, that you had spent hundreds of billions of dollars of your tax money to break this country up. There is nothing going on in the shopping malls that would tell you that your sanctions have worked. As a matter of fact, as I predicted, in the very first weeks of this conflict, our sanctions on Russia have turned into be the largest, most deadly boomerang ever thrown. It is our economies that are sinking. It is Russia's economy that is booming. And an amazing thing happened. I walked around a very, very big and busy shopping mall, as busy as any you'll find anywhere in the world. And I didn't see a single Western thing on sale. Everybody has substituted their own goods. The local capitalists have gotten off their backside and entered the market, and where once the toxic McDonald's stood, Russian restaurants now take their place. In fact, the only Western thing that I encountered in my entire day here in Kazan was some Western music on a loop. I'll tell you later because I'm proud of it. He's Scottish and he was never off the turntable in the shopping mall. It's an amazing thing. You know, sanctions breed a new spirit amongst those sanctioned. The United States is now sanctioning 30% of the entire world's population and threatening to sanction the next 20% of the world's population. But the empire strikes back, and the sanctioned and the damned and the marginalized and the pilloried and the blackguarded are all gathering here together in Kazan for the BRICS summit. I think it's going to be the most important BRICS summit ever. I think that the BRICS is the future of the world. I think the BRICS is the new United Nations. I think the BRICS is the new G7, new G20. The BRICS is where it's at. It started out Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, as the acronym suggests. But we've now got the United Arab Emirates here. Their plane just touched down at the airport in Moscow. They'll be here tomorrow, the head of state of the United Arab Emirates. The Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia will soon be here. countries that you would never have imagined would now be in the Russia-China orbit are queuing up to join the BRICS. The sun is rising in the east. It's sinking in the west. I think you already knew that, but if you had taken a walk with me this afternoon in the streets of Kazan, you'd realize just how real and concrete it is. Chinese cars, Russian cars, no Western cars, no Italian tailoring, no fine English hats, no anything that came from Western suppliers, no brand names that you would recognize, no retail outlets whose names you've ever seen before. And the tills were going like Billy-O. The population were queuing to enter shops and to buy. In the run-up to our Christmas, a few more weeks until theirs, everything is going swimmingly here in Kazan. Vladimir Putin has picked Russia up off the floor where it was lying drunk, having its pocket picked, and he has made the Russians feel tall again. The Russians feel good about themselves again. And this is a key point for me, because I'm not actually interested in retail outlets or fashion. I'm not interested in the brand names that are on the hangers, on the shelves in these stores. I'm interested in the health, the strength of the community. I know that my own community is ailing. I know that the British people are depressed. I know that the British people are disunited. I know that the British people hate their government. I know that the British people are going into a long, cold winter, the old age pensioners getting ready to shiver their way, if they're lucky, through that winter. I know that the British government has just picked the pockets of the pensioners in Britain to pay Zelensky another $3.4 billion every year forever. I'm not making that last bit up. We've promised to pay it forever. For a third of that, you could have kept your cold weather allowance, Mr. and Mrs. Old Age Pensioner. For half of that, you could have given child benefit to the third and fourth children in every family in our country whose birth rate is falling, whose life expectancy is falling, whose tax base is shrinking, and when we really, really, really need new and more children. I know that my own society is sinking into not just a malaise, but an increasing depravity, an increasing degeneracy. I know the march of drugs. I know the march of vice. I can hear the tramp, tramp, tramp of the boots of avarice amongst the rich and the howls of anguish amongst the poor. I don't hear that here in Russia. I don't feel that here in Russia. I feel that we've got a united people that doesn't hate their government. Indeed, in the middle of a war, has swung increasingly powerfully behind their government. And I don't want to be a Russian. I don't want to live in Russia. I want to be British and live in a better Britain. And I'm always on the lookout for the secrets of success in other people's societies and measure it against the reality of failure in my own. And that's what I'll be doing at the BRICS this weekend. I'll be looking to see what it is that they are doing. Well, the first thing they're doing is getting out from under the sanctions trap. This is a gathering of people who are overwhelmingly under sanction or other forms of economic punishment by the United States, using the dollar as its whip, using the dollar as its baton. Well, the people gathering here intend to get out from under the dollar. They intend to bring about the end of dollar hegemony. And the dollar is just about the only kind of hegemony that the United States and its vassal states, as supine and serf-like as any of the satellites of the former Soviet Union, in fact more so. We are amongst those who have been persuaded that what's good for the United States is good for the rest of us. But number one, it isn't. And what is being done by Joe Biden isn't even good for the United States. Of course, it could all come crashing to a close. And indeed, this week, it might be that Netanyahu intends to rain on President Putin's parade. It is leaked in the United States that Israel is about to launch a blizzard of strategic ballistic missiles at either Iran's vital oil installations, causing a spike in oil prices and a closing of the Straits of Hormuz that will make it impossible for you to buy petrol at $100 a gallon, never mind $5. It is possible that Netanyahu's ballistic missile shower will even fall on Iran's nuclear installation, in which case Iran has promised that Israel's nuclear installation at Dimona in the Negev will be blown to smithereens, and a nuclear winter will ensue throughout the Levant. It might be that Israel intends to attack Iran's political and religious leadership, or it might be that Netanyahu intends to attack all three, or any permutation of those three. In any permutation of those three, Iran's response will be tenfold, maybe 100-fold, maybe 1,000-fold. Iran has hundreds of thousands of ballistic missiles, most of them capable of penetrating any Iron Dome, most of them capable of defeating the new American THAAD anti-ballistic missile system that has been, with accompanying American boots on the ground, hurriedly drafted to Israel. I saw some pictures today of an American military convoy on the streets of Tel Aviv. So the United States has joined whatever is going to happen next. It may be that Netanyahu will wait until the BRICS is properly here on Tuesday and open before he launches his missile barrage. It may be that Iran will wait until the BRICS has finished on Thursday before it responds. But the fact that I'm even asking these questions, when the answer to them might very well be the beginning of World War III, shows how perilous the situation we are in. And anyone who's seen recent pictures of Joe Biden knows very well that he's not calling the shots, knows very well that he's not controlling his own government, never mind the government of Benjamin Netanyahu. Someone, somewhere, has given the green light in Washington to whatever Netanyahu does next. And that could be curtains for all of us. If we reach November 5 and we reach the American presidential election, then Donald Trump is now set to win a landslide victory. I know that you think that's what I want. Well, I certainly want it more than I want Kamala Harris. I hope that my candidate, Dr. Jill Stein, the Green Party candidate, a friend of mine, breaks the 5% mark. I hope that she defeats Kamala Harris in the state of Michigan, an impossible idea just a few weeks ago, but now an idea that looks like its time has come. But whether Jill Stein breaks the 5% barrier, Donald Trump has definitely now won the election. He's won it because in the swing states, every single one of them is currently shaded red. Kamala Harris's campaign is running out of gas, even laughing gas. The joy has gone. Instead, the lines on her face are etched with the word failure written all over them. As a matter of fact, Obama had a conversation at Ethel Kennedy, the late Ethel Kennedy's funeral, just the other day, in which the two of them were overheard, in which Joe says, "I was stronger than her, you know." And Barack Obama, who did more than anybody else to edge Joe Biden over the cliff and out of the race, is heard to say, "Yes, you are." That's how bad Kamala Harris is. She's a worse candidate than Joe Biden age 99 and a quarter. So the truth is, you better get ready for a Donald Trump presidency. Now, I, for one, prefer a Donald Trump presidency to a Kamala Harris one any day of the week. But only for this reason. I believe that Donald Trump will close down the possibility that World War III will break out in Ukraine. Unfortunately, he may not rule out World War III breaking out in the Persian Gulf. He may not rule out World War III breaking out in the South China Sea, in the Straits of Taiwan. But 1 out of 3 will do me for now. Because at this moment in time, any one of these 3 theatres of operation could be the beginning of World War III. The world has never seen anything like this before. You could wake up tomorrow morning and discover that events have set in motion World War III, a nuclear winter, and the end of humanity for all time. We could look like Mars. You'd still hear the wind, but nothing would still be alive. No plant, no animal, and no person. But if Donald Trump does win, he's undoubtedly going to make significant changes in the way the United States is governed. Because he's got 2 people at his right hand. I'm not going to talk about J.D. Vance. I'm going to talk about RFK Jr., and I'm going to talk about Tulsi Gabbard. If he gives Gabbard and Kennedy the ability freely to do so, then the 3-letter agencies in the United States would be as well to pack their bags now. I think RFK will want to know who killed his uncle. I think RFK will want to know who killed his father. I don't think RFK is going to allow any redacted files on the Kennedys for very long if Donald Trump becomes the president. I think American foreign policy might just change very significantly indeed. I hope it does, because it's American policy that has put us in the state we are in. I'll be talking to 2 fine Americans on this show tonight and testing their opinions as to what it is that they want to do. I've also got a poll running. Has Israel destroyed Hamas? In the wake of the killing of the second chairman of the political bureau of the Islamic resistance movement Hamas in just a couple of months, Ismail Haniyeh, now joined by Yahya Sinwar. Both of them have been murdered by Israel, but has it made Israel any stronger? Well, they thought that Hezbollah was defeated when they killed Saeed Hassan Nasrallah. But in fact, Hezbollah is giving Israel a bloody good hiding on the border between occupied Palestine and Lebanon right this minute. And I don't think the situation will be any different with the Palestinians. I don't know Sinwar. I don't know very much about him. I know he died the death of a warrior. And I know that the decision to release the footage of his killing was as stupid as a decision as the United States release of the photographs of the martyrdom of my leader, Comandante Che Guevara. Che Guevara lives on everywhere, in every part of the world, half a century later. I suspect Sinwar will also grow 10 foot tall as a result of the footage of his killing. He died fighting at the front. When was the last Western leader you knew that went to fight at the front? He died with his boots on, with his kafia around his neck, and with his AK-47 by his side. And by his side was the other half of his arm, which had been blown off in the previous hour. I think that's pretty powerful juju, don't you? You think that will weaken the Palestinian resistance? If you do, you are a fool. But if you're not a fool, you've come to the right place. It's the mother of all talk shows. Stay tuned.